Okay, cool.
Okay, what's on the agenda?
So the first thing on the agenda is release improvement that you're listed for.
Who wrote that?
I think maybe we wrote it last time. Somebody thought that we were going to have something to say about it.
What was the discussion about? Does the process work well?
Yeah, I think it was just about like release shepherding, whether that works, whether the, I don't know. Ben, do you remember, were you here last meeting? Do you know what this was about?
No, I don't.
All right, let's skip it and wait for Greg, because I think he probably added it.
Okay.
So the next thing is the Apache Kibble project, which I think, Ben, you sent out an email to the list saying we should sign up for it. I'm not sure how to sign us up, but it looks really cool. It's basically a project that collects metrics about open source projects and tries to figure out.
Like when I looked at it, it wasn't that useful. I felt like, the page looked very
shiny.
Not even shiny. I mean, it looked pretty, I guess, pretty basic. And I don't know if it was giving any metrics that we aren't already collecting. So I didn't find it like that useful. But maybe I was looking at a dev account or something. Like, can we open up that real quick?
Yeah. So it just has this demo link.
Yeah. And when you log in using that guest account, it's guest@kibble.live. When I looked at it, it wasn't like. Did anyone else look at it? Wrong username password.
Give me a break. Maybe she just got me pasted.
So,
I guess maybe they it went in and then it got logged out. When I looked at it briefly for like 10-15 minutes, I didn't find it really exciting. But maybe they're still in like a demo stage.
Yeah, so I think what they're doing is they're looking for projects to help them decide what metrics they should be collecting.
Yeah, like for this one, like if you go to views or whatever.
Maybe we should screen share this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it too, but I don't really know where to look because I'm not really seeing any.
Yeah, it wasn't very, like, we got even data points maybe. Like here.
Oh, okay. Are you looking at our screen, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Commit trends, language breakdown, top 5 contributors, commit history, all the stuff you can get from GitHub. Top repos, pony factor. I don't know what is
What's a pony factor? Oh, is it Ponymail maybe? The email list?
Yeah, I mean this stuff is like.
It's just demo stuff. But.
Yeah, but even the things that they're looking at, it doesn't seem anything that we don't already get from GitHub, for example. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is across projects, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I guess wonder what happens when you dig into one particular.
Yeah, let's click for the cloud stack or whatever, yeah. Same thing, I think.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, what are the views? You select a view to use. Is that maybe that?
Language breakdown, top 5 commit history, 12% month lines, code evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't.
It's pretty minimal.
Yeah, it's not like I was hoping they collected everything from mailing list to Slack, like IRC conversations and review board, and kind of got all of them at one place. But this looks pretty. Just looking at the Git repo looks like pretty much.
Mailing lists. Those record authors.
I guess they have mailing lists.
Yeah, so it looks like issue trackers is here.
I guess they are.
Yeah, so it looks like it's breaking them down into different.
But I guess there's no review board metrics. Issue. So they have mailing list issue. Yeah, it's probably a good start, I guess. Then if they have Jira and their mailing list and they have Git.
Yeah.
Maybe we can ask them to see if they can add like review board stats as well, or even review board stats would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So maybe we can email them and add. Like I don't think there's anything we need to change on our side, right? We just need to tell them please add
I
our
have no idea how it works.
Okay.
But they said join the email list and where's our agenda? Yeah, I think on the email they sent out they said like join the list and then I already had it open, but yeah, join the list and let us know if your project is interested in joining a demo. So I can easily do that, but then if they want me to give them any information about how to get metrics out of our project, I can just send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they want suggestions on what.
Yeah, I think one suggestion we could probably make is like also collect review board stats.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of, Ben?
I mean, I don't know. A lot of these individual things provide stats, like Jira and Git via GitHub. But for the things that don't provide stats, it's nice to have something like, I don't know how to look at mailing list stats or review board stats or.
Yeah. Google group stats are like impossible to find. Like
Google groups, yeah, I guess, but they have mailing list stats for us,
Yeah.
right? It's like.
I think so.
So that's good.
They exist somewhere because I remember people showing me some graph or something, but I don't know where it is. There's also the Slack stats, which are, I mean, hosted by Slack independently, right? Some people have access to it.
Yeah, but it's not
I don't.
comprehensive.
Okay.
I get one because I'm the admin, but it's like very basic.
Yeah.
You need to pay for the stats.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with these things is you kind of need to know. A dashboard's nice, but you kind of want to know what specifically you're interested in measuring, and might need to write your own queries and stuff to figure that out. Like these things aren't going to understand that we have a contributors file that says which companies people work for during which time frames and things like that. I saw that Kubernetes, well, it might be CNCF, published some stats thing that they had. It's like some website where for each Kubernetes or each CNCF project you can see like which companies are driving the contributions and stuff like that. I don't know how they're doing that, but I assume it's like some metadata is in a consistent format or something. I don't know.
Yep. Okay. So George, you want to reach out and if they ask information, you can report them to me. Okay, perfect. Ben, you had stuff about blog posts.
Yeah, I would love to get just some logistical help to just kind of, I guess, manage like a regular cadence of blog posts and just encouraging people to write them.
So how was your recent experience writing that blog post that you wrote about performance?
It's good. I mean, what do you mean?
Like in terms of, did you get any help writing it or proofreading, editing it? Did you get any help?
I got some help from folks on just proofreading it. But I think if we're going to establish more of a regular cadence of blog posts, we probably want to also just make sure that for example, like if we write a technical blog post, we probably just want to make sure that it's sound, right? And it's not sloppy or things like that. Just so that, we're showcasing that we're a technically competent project and things like that, right? But yeah, I feel like we've done a really terrible job at this. And I think myself, at least, I was kind of, in this denial mode of, oh, well, our tech is so good that people should just recognize it, right? But that's not how the world works. And we really have to do PR. I mean, even myself, right? I'll see like, oh, wow, the Rust community is doing interesting stuff. I know that other projects are doing just as interesting stuff, and they're not writing about it, but just from the fact that I see it talked about, I feel, biases myself, even though I'm kind of aware of this, right? So I'd like to try to change this and do this more regularly.
Yeah. How do we incentivize that, I guess?
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on what the blocker is. Like, do you think that people aren't motivated to do it, or do you think that they just like haven't really thought of it, or they could use, because like what Ben mentioned was just logistical help, which I could definitely help with. Just like, hey.
But logistical meaning, I guess some people, for example, are not fluent in English, for example. They don't feel comfortable writing it. So they probably want some writer to help them, and they'll probably do the editing on top once the structure is laid out by someone and stuff like that. Maybe that will make it easy.
So one of the things that we do for DCOS is we'll like interview people, record it on Zoom, and I can write up the interview and then just run it by the person I interviewed and say like, hey, is this all correct? That way people don't have to write anything.
Yeah, for interview style of things like Greg did with G and stuff, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for more like technical blog posts, we need to figure out.
I think if you look at what people have done for features in the past, they've often already created a talk or some slides that they've shown at a meetup or something like that. And that content is fairly easily translatable into a blog post. And so I feel like the people would make the effort of doing this if they were asked, or encouraged to do it. It's just we haven't made any blog posts for a very long time, and we've instead been giving talks and things like that. And I feel like that's kind of the main reason it's not happening. And I feel like if we just do a good job, like keeping an eye on what people are building when it's getting released and what might be interesting things to blog about, we can kind of encourage people. And
I guess for slides and stuff, there's a forcing function, right? That there's a conference and you need to submit it, get accepted, go and give a talk. I guess for blogs, there's no such forcing function. I mean, we are having a hard time even having people write user docs. Forget about blog posts. We are not even writing user docs. So how do we incentivize people to write them, because they're already knee-deep in writing technical stuff, and then finally they finish it and they either move on, take a break, and come back and do something else, and they feel like it's a lot more work to spend on writing a blog, unless there is like
I think it's an opportunity for them to showcase their work, right? For one thing, which is good for them. It's good for their career. And I think that's something that is kind of hopefully self-motivating for people. But culturally, we're trying to have people write those user docs, right? We're trying to have that be part of a project where you have to do that before you wrap it up.
So I guess I'm thinking, like, should we have, I guess, more, for example, should we have something like a blogathon where people get together and start?
it might be good to generate ideas with something like that, but I think for the blog, I personally would just rather see kind of like a regular cadence. I wouldn't want a blog say 10 things.
Yeah. Once we have the content, we can spread them out. I'm just looking at like forcing functions for people to actually sit down and do it. And how do we incentivize them to do it? I think, for example, if our documentation team at Mesos here or our blog writing team here comes and works with them to write most of the stuff, and they just provide technical details to them, that's probably easier to generate them because they're probably more comfortable just saying, hey, this is the layout, this is the structure, can you fill in the proto, can you fill in the code snippets and stuff like that, and can you work with me to start? I think that's probably easier, I would imagine, for most engineers than trying to think through a story to tell and all that.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to get a good technical blog post out of that personally, but that sounds like...
That's like a start. I mean, you should at least give them a structure to...
I'll give you my experience in the performance working group. If I don't ask anyone to do anything, maybe unsurprisingly, nothing really was getting done. But when I was like, hey guys, there's a meeting next week, I'd really like to wrap these 3 things up, and like, Dimitri, can you finish this for next week, and so on. People were kind of picking up the work and doing it. I feel like part of it is just kind of giving some structure to people and organizing them a little bit, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that this could happen in steps, right? Like we could just make the ask, say like, hey, we think it would be awesome. Like Ben, you already put suggestions of who could write what. So we should ask those people to write those things and ask what we can do to help. And then if they have things that they say they need help with, we'll help them. And then if it doesn't get done, we can start thinking about trying to incentivize people in other ways. But I mean, I think making the ask might get some people to write blogs. And then the people who really have strong hesitations, we can give them a little more support or incentive.
Sure.
Like Vinod, you just gave a talk, right, on domains. I would hope that having given that, it's not a large leap to think about how to write a technical blog post for Mesos, for the Mesos blog, and kind of highlighting what this new feature is and what it provides for things that are built on top of Mesos.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have some blog posts around that in DSAS as well. So I could probably use some of that content, Mesos specific content for Mesos. That way, a little easier. Yeah, and I guess it just in terms of time as well. Like, how much time can I? Take out for writing? I mean, I love to write one. I mean, I like writing blog posts, just that I never get time.
Yeah.
I just have to make time. At least for the demo, the forcing function was we had to do a demo for the government, for one of our customers, right? So that was the forcing function, and I had help from a couple of folks here at the company to try to write the scripts, and I was just kind of directing them on helping them on how to write them and stuff. Right? I wasn't, for example, doing it end-to-end myself. So I guess similarly for blog, I would see if I can get help, someone writing it, and I'll help them direct it and help them frame it and stuff. Or maybe if I have time, I can do it myself. It's just a question of time and what kind of help I get and for someone to write it. Writing a blog post probably takes like a day at least.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Like a good one.
Vinod, what kind of incentives do you think, like aside from having a blogathon where people just sit down and bang one out, what other kinds of incentives do you think would help people? Like, do you think people would be incentivized if we paid them for blog posts? Like, do you think sending swag would be good, like for external contributors?
Yeah, swag would be good for sure. I mean, some kind of recognition. I feel like for conferences, talks and stuff, there's recognition there. Like there's a schedule on the website and you get to see who presented, and then there are videos out on YouTube and stuff for it, and people kind of give likes and comments and stuff like that. And you get to tweet it and stuff like that. And maybe we do more of that publicity, get some recognition for them. They'll probably be more incentivized, I would imagine.
Do we have commenting function on the blog now, or liking?
No. For example, that's probably a good thing to have, is to add our blog page is very, very rudimentary, I would say. I think first thing is to kind of make it more appealing.
Do we get metrics on the readership of the website or the blogs? Like, could we say like, hey, 100 people read your blog, or like, hey, 5 people read your blog, or however many people read it?
I think, something like that. I mean, we have metrics. I think there's a Google Analytics.
Yeah, we have them.
Code snippet, but I don't know who has access to that one. Ben, do you have access to that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and can you see it like in terms of the blog subpage, how many people have access and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I didn't check, but
like Medium or something, I don't know, like to be more.
That would be trendy.
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like that one has like metrics right on there, right? Like when someone claps or clicks or whatever, share immediately to Hacker News, for example, and stuff like that. Like all of that modern blog functionality, it's like basically a well-formatted page. That's it. It's not really a blog.
Yeah.
So I think if you make it more like blog friendly, like have those metrics, have people ability to comment and stuff like that, I think people would be incentivized. Maybe we should probably think about the basics and how to make it appealing for both writers and readers.
Yeah, definitely.
The Kubernetes blog posts, I guess, where do they end up going? Do they end up going on, like, for example, Google's website or something, or do you know?
I don't actually know off the top of my head.
Let's see. Looks like there were 326 views of the blog post.
Nice. That's great.
Which one? The performance one?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
That's really cool. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And there's no way for us to show that.
Yeah.
It's kind of buried. Like, no, neither the writer knows it, nor the readers know it.
Yeah.
There's no feedback loop.
Yeah.
For it to go like viral or something like that. It looks like these guys don't have comments either. But at least they have like
RSS feeds.
Subscribe, proper blog archive for a year.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. If we were going to move to a different format, I would definitely like to do Medium or something that's more managed and like already built and easy for people. I don't know what the approval process is like on Medium, or if you just have to give your blog to somebody and they post it for you.
Yeah, it used to be like anyone can post it, but I think they changed it recently to be subscription model or something. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well,
but most blogs that I read these days are on Medium.
Yeah.
Seems to be like
very popular.
Where most even technical blog posts are being written. So I think we should try to look into it. Like just like we moved to Slack, I think that helped quite a bit. In terms of conversation, I think we should try to figure out modern ways to engage.
I will look into Medium.
Should we migrate all our old blog posts to that, or like?
Yeah, we should probably. We'll see how easy that is.
Yeah, I guess one thing that might be unfortunate is breaking links for people, but maybe that's not a big problem. I don't know.
I mean, we can keep the old one.
Redirects or something.
Yeah, we can maybe keep the old ones and then new ones we put there, and say that blog post has moved or whatever at the top in our blog page. Something, yeah. But I think we should probably evaluate that. I think that would be something that would be really cool. I think that will definitely incentivize people to write.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. If your blog looks sexy, you want to write a blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blog looks like bloggy.
Shiny.
Shiny.
Everybody wants a shiny blog.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, regarding the particular one that you had added for me, yeah, I think I definitely love to have some blog posts written for those. Whether I'll have time, is another question. There's another thing that we didn't add here, which is a blog post about the um, agent recovery, like agent reconfiguration that we recently added. And maybe we can ask Benno to write that one, Benno and me together.
Yeah.
That would be cool one to write too. And first thing I want is to write a user doc.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's my big concern about it actually, is that I don't want people to be, I would rather have docs than blogs.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
for me, the biggest one is the user doc. I mean, in terms of other than the code documentation
yeah.
and just the API documentation, I think the biggest one is user docs. And sometimes it's really hard for me to figure out what should we go into user doc versus what should go in a blog.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to blog before the user docs are there. People go looking for it.
Like blog is more like a story, but even the user doc is also kind of, I mean, for me, it's like, for example, I did the slave recovery blog post back in the day, and it was really hard to figure out what should go in the user doc, what should go in the blog post. Like there's a lot of overlapping content there, and it's like the phrasing of it is a little different. Blog is like your first person kind of thing. User doc is less conversational and
I mean, I would love
styles.
for them to point to each other. So I would love to have blogs on all these things that kind of give the higher level design of the feature, like the architecture of it, the thought behind it, the use case, and then say like, if you want to learn more about this feature, go to the docs. And then you see like all of the like, how do you use it step by step stuff there.
I think the important thing to communicate to people though about this is just that like, we've got to do more of our own PR for the project.
Yeah.
If we don't, it's really hurting us that we're not.
Yeah, I agree.
So like it just we have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna look into Medium, and I'm also going to look into getting the people on this list to, unless you guys, because a lot of these people I don't really know that well, like Ilya I don't know, Joseph and G I know, Benno I don't know. So do you guys want to reach out to the people who
you're close Benno works for us.
Oh, does he? I don't know him.
He's in Hamburg.
Oh,
I was trying to pick a specific one to focus on, and I was thinking maybe the partition aware stuff, just because Aurora has just implemented stuff for it and Marathon already has stuff for it, and Ilya might be able to write that or co-author it. Like, it might be a little easier. But I also picked it because I thought it was a cool piece of tech that I'm actually not sure if other projects have implemented that yet. Maybe they have now, but we certainly did it quite a ways ahead of other projects.
Yeah, well, and I think that the advantage of having done it quite a ways ahead of other projects is like we've got our bugs worked out and other projects might not, which like, I think a lot of the time we talk about like, oh, Mesos has been around for a long time, but we're not really explicit about like that, how that translates into stability and like maturity.
Yep.
So I think that would be a great one to start with. So it looks like Ilya did comment on this.
He said he can co-author it with me.
Okay, so what do you guys need for the next steps?
Time.
Okay. What else? What can I do for you? Because I don't control time, but I could do something.
I guess, for example, if you figure out the Medium stuff, I'd be really excited to post there as a forcing function for me to try out a new thing. That will push me for sure. Okay, great. Do you know what Ilya's hesitation was with writing it? Because it sounds like he was like, oh, I don't know, maybe we should call
it. I don't think he has as much context and background.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't know the history around it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
But I mean, I would hope that this could be written kind of independently of the medium transition, just because that's kind of a.
Yeah, I mean, if we're getting high readership on the blog that we have now, I would say that the transition of platform is really secondary if people are already seeing the blogs that are going up there.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't look.
I just wouldn't want to.
It's doing the thing that it's supposed to do.
I just wouldn't want to block it on that in case that is more difficult than we anticipate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about forcing functions for me.
Yeah.
I'll have to make time for that.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else about this? Is there a second blog that we should get? Because in my experience, what happens is you approach somebody about a blog and they're like, yeah, this should happen. It should totally happen. And then it gets bogged down.
Yeah,
and
I think
you try and do one at a time. You kind of don't come out with a good cadence. So it's step 2 or like a second.
I think a second one is maybe Kevin's GPU stuff. He's got a lot of content and he's
This one.
I think he'll make the time to write something up maybe.
Okay. Oh, you already said it. It's just not capitalized.
Yeah. Like this is something we added back in I think 1.0, but we could maybe say that accordingly, right? Like we're highlighting something that was built back then or something like that. And I think Kevin can highlight a lot of the stuff that he's been able to build on top of it, like the TensorFlow.
Yeah, and I know that we also have already blogs on the Mesosphere blog about this stuff, and so he can probably just take content from what he's already written and adapt it for Mesos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I would love for people to think of other posts. This is just kind of a list that I came up with in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Was there I didn't understand this technically at all, but was there move support that we wanted to talk about? Everybody was really excited about that. I guess you talked about it in the performance blog a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's probably fine. What I was maybe going to do is highlight to the dev list that they can start using this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's more, I think, telling our developers that they can use it than being a blog post.
Yeah, cool.
Like we didn't really innovate there, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
I mean, one thing we could do is just maybe ask the dev list if they have other blog post ideas or figure out a way to kind of crowdsource the ideas here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can send that email. Do you want to send that one, Ben?
Sure. I guess I point them to this.
Yeah. Just say that we're looking for more blog content, interest in writing, plus reach out to us.
Yeah.
And we'll help you.
I can do that.
Very nice to get from the community for sure.
Yeah, I can kind of give the context to why this is important, and hopefully that helps motivate people.
Yeah.
Great. So that's that. That was all of our topics for today. I guess we're not going to get Greg to talk about what we meant about this, so we'll move it to the next one.
Oh.
And I'm just going to look over last week's notes to make sure that we're not missing any, or last time's notes. Scripts for evaluating review board.
This is also something we're going to ask the Kibble team, right? About review board.
Yeah. But I think this.
I think there's some internal scripts that Artem had that he was trying to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I think Greg found them, but he hadn't followed it up. I think we were trying to figure out how to improve the review process in like a more meaningful way. The Docathon is coming up.
How's the sign up for that looking? Do we have a sign up?
We do. We have a meetup group.
Okay.
A meetup event, and we've got 12 people so far. Hey! So we've got 12 people so far. We were gonna identify easy fixes in the docs so that new contributors could come in and work on it. So that was our kind of next step, but I hadn't gotten around to doing that, and we didn't really make a plan for how we were gonna ID those new fixes or easy fixes other than put them in the agenda. So we're talking about the document.
Cool.
Yeah, so we still, I guess, need to go identify those as best we can. Let's see if we got any on here. Easy tweaks for new contributors, link to new binaries and download pages, move the roadmap from wiki to docs. Those aren't super easy, but sort of easy. Yeah, so we're gonna need more easy fixes for that.
Okay. Do we need many, do you think? I wonder if we're gonna have many.
I'd like to have maybe 4 or 5,
okay,
just in case. I can also read through and just find English unclarities that could just use easy rewording, and that would be.
Also, with spell check, for example.
Oh, do we not have spell check in the doc?
I don't think so. I mean, people have to manually do it.
Oh, yeah. I just thought of one.
Okay.
In the V1 operator API docs. I think it might be useful to turn the existing examples into curl commands.
Yeah, we had that in the last talkathon.
Yeah.
Someone from Apple was going to
Can you say that again? Existing operators into curl commands.
Existing examples into curl commands. Yeah. That would be a pretty straightforward thing.
Okay. Yeah. Can't type sideways. I will go through and just find some things that are oddly worded. I'm sure there must be some. Okay. Cool. So I think that's fine. And I'm going to email users at DCOSIO about it.
Perfect.
The release blog I need to work with Gilbert on, he didn't reach out to me, so I should probably ping him again.
Okay. Well, the release hasn't happened yet, so
yeah.
Once that happens, he'll write about it.
Oh, is he going to do it after the release?
Yeah.
Not at the release time.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably swamped with the release. I can't imagine he really has time to blog about it now, but.
I don't know if he's swamped, but yeah, it'll take some time too.
Yeah. Newsletter went out. Yay.
Yeah.
How was the reception for that one?
I don't know. I haven't really gotten many replies or anything.
Okay.
Hopefully people are looking at it.
On email. Oh, you sent an email, right? And then the interview you made it into blog.
Yeah, I guess we could tweet about it too. That was something I didn't do.
About
the blog or the email?
The blog, I guess.
The blog we tweeted.
I wrote tweets.
Oh, okay.
I wrote tweets about
Awesome.
the blog.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's good. But we could write more tweets about it, of course.
So we're going through the old.
Yeah, but actually, now that you're here, maybe I don't think any of the rest of them were very pressing. Now that you're here, maybe we'll talk about the release stuff because I think you added something to our agenda this time about it. Release improvement process. I think you added it and you wanted Vinod to talk about it, but we couldn't figure out what it was about.
Oh. Vinod or something. Let's see. What was I thinking? I think we were just wanting to continue to inspect our review process the way that we.
Even release process.
I'm sorry, release process. Okay. The way that we release, how we decide when to cut. Because I think that our current one is behind schedule according to time-based releases. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the intention of those action items.
Yeah. I think that probably merits a longer discussion. We should probably talk about it in the next one. In terms of like time-based releases and feature-based, like what are the rules of engagement on how we do it. Mm-hmm. I think we had some discussion before once, I think in the developer community sync, but I don't think we had any concrete things that came out that people are following. I think people are still say a bit of doing it without any proper like formal rules around what's a blocker, what should not be a blocker, when to cut it, when not to cut it, and stuff like that. Alex was going to send an email, if I remember correctly, about that process, but I don't think he circled around to do that either. He got distracted with some other stuff. And I guess he never sent that email. So I think it's probably worth discussing in one of the meetings for sure, or maybe even the committers meeting, if not this one. At least come up with a plan that everyone agrees with. I don't think last time there was complete agreement on how we want to do releases. How strictly do you want to enforce some things?
Yeah, because I think we can, as we have before, we continue to delay releases to get in features that we really want. So I feel like the question is that acceptable? Is that something we want to continue?
Yeah, I think that would be a good committers meeting discussion. I think most people aren't really super, I mean, it happens on the list, but I don't think most people are really follow the release process to.
Yeah, I think it's the community. It's good to get community input. To know if the current process is working for people, or if it's causing any issues. But in terms of the actual discussion of the process and determining what we do.
Good. Cool. Do we have any action items out of that?
I think we should discuss that in a committers meeting, I think.
Okay.
And then I'll come back to this one to kind of, once we have a proposal there, we should come back and see what does the rest of the people in the community think.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Good time.
Spell check.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about?
Well, so now that we sent out the first newsletter, I'm thinking about the next one. And so I'll definitely talk about the release because it should be out at that point. But I think I'd like to highlight a particular area of things we've been working on. The first thing that came into my mind was to chat with Gilbert about containerization efforts, because I feel like a lot of improvements have gone in there. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
Like a Q&A with him?
Yeah, maybe an interview, or maybe I would just talk to him and write something.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the interview format? Should we do that again? Or?
Yeah,
So
I liked it. It was good.
Elizabeth told me that interview blog posts don't get as many readers like reading them all the way through as just like synthesis blog posts. So what she suggested doing is conducting the interview, and then instead of typing it up in interview format, you type it up as like a kind of story.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like quote him here and there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that I could do that.
Yeah.
Is there something we can get help with, like once we do the interview?
Yeah, if you wanted to interview him and record it, I could watch it and write it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then
Yeah,
I'd give you a
I'm
little bit
happy
of
to
time.
collaborate with you on that. That'd be great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
And yeah, and I will try to get some, I'll blast out some emails to committers and try to get some just little blurbs on all the various stuff that's been going on.
I think agent reconfiguration is one of the things we should talk about.
Yeah,
probably
totally.
one of the newsletters. Great thing. So probably worthwhile.
Yeah.
Talking about that one.
I think the boundary between newsletter and blog post is kind of unclear to me. Like, do we want to do a blog post about agent reconfiguration and then highlight it in the newsletter? Like,
yes.
Newsletters like, hey, there's been a release, there's these blog posts, that sort of thing. Just kind of what's happening.
I guess it seems like the newsletter constitutes the email, and then that references a blog post. That was kind of the way it turned out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe the newsletter is kind of just helping people keep up with the project, right? These things happen. You can read more about them here. Go on.
It's more like
I'm also just curious.
Kind of thing for blog posts, kind of thing. Like some of them are not even probably blog posts. There's something works in progress, for example, that we wanted to involve community. It's not always stuff that has been completed.
Yeah.
Might be stuff that's ongoing. Yeah.
Okay.
Conference coming up or some
That makes sense.
Talkathon.
So these newsletters themselves shouldn't be blog posts then, right? Based on that, or?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they could be email.
I feel like that seems appropriate to me.
Yeah, I feel like if I was a community member, what I would get out of it is just it helps me keep up with what's going on. It's kind of hard to do that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we should point people to. You know what we could do is make a series of tweets out of each newsletter point. So we could say like, the docathon's coming up, or like, we're looking for help on this project, and just point to the GitHub repo, or so then each bullet point would be like a tweet, and that would give more exposure.
Yeah, I like that.
How's our tweets? How do they do?
How do they do? I don't know. Mesos has a huge Twitter following, but
our tweets themselves, I feel like they don't get that many likes or retweets or hearts, anything like that. Replies.
Let's see what we can find.
I mean, I looked at my activity tab after that blog post. And it seems pretty good. Like, I doubt it's the same level as some other projects, but
I'm not. We just switched new Twitter platforms. I'm not really sure how we're doing. Let's see if we can get tell me how this did. Okay, I'll have to figure this out. I liked real Twitter better, but this is the thing.
I thought in real Twitter there's analytics.
There is analytics in real Twitter, yeah.
Is that not enough?
No, I think it's fine.
Just in terms of the likes and counts and stuff, like views, you probably can't see there. But if you just the log, what is it called? But Ben, you're saying in your notification you got stuff, and that's because you got CC'd on the tweet, or?
We retweeted it. We retweeted one of Ben's tweets once from the Mesos.
Okay, got it.
Somewhere useful. Let's see our profile.
So for example,
yeah, so this got
2 hearts,
2 likes. It's got 1 retweet and 6 likes. These are the later tweets, right? So I like wrote a bunch of tweets about each one of them. So the earlier ones got more reactions because more people saw them.
So for example, this was the first one, right? Master failover time. Why the 2 tweets?
Master failover. So these are like consecutive days. So this one got 10 hearts and 1 retweet. This one got 5 hearts and 4 retweets.
Okay.
But they're all like basically, 10 retweets and 25 hearts for
Protobuf
3.0.
Can you share the analytics there?
Tweet activity. Link clicks 41, likes 25, retweets 10, detail expands 10, profile clicks 6, and replies 1. Who replied? That's exciting. Oh, I replied. Great. So if you...
This is not too bad, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
it tells me impressions 2,400, total engagements 195, link clicks 88.
Nice.
Retweets 13, likes 12. I think a lot of people don't interact with it. Or even they'll go to the blog, they just kind of read it and then that's it. They don't necessarily come back and like it,
Yeah, but if they tweet impressions itself, like people reading it shows high number, that's probably good. If 100 people read it, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. I might like to see higher numbers just because Mesos has such high, like 47,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like we should be.
I feel like more engineering content could like the protobuf and performance stuff.
I think the reason that this got liked was because we just gave people a piece of information right away, and people like information and don't like fluff. So
yeah, and it's like an interesting technical read, so engineers are interested and just like want to read about it, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
How often do we say, it feels like tweets are going up pretty often, actually.
I've been trying to schedule more, but there's not a lot of content that I've been tweeting about. So it's kind of a lot of repeated content.
Yeah, I bet if we can spend a few months like just trying to get more content going out and advertising it on Twitter, I bet we can get those numbers up.
Yeah, I think if there were more technical blog posts, it would be, people would get used to going to Twitter to find stuff from Mesos, and so that will kind of get the traffic going a little bit better. But
yeah, we have like close to 50,000 audience.
God, it's nerve-wracking to tweet from that account. I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to 50,000 people. It's really scary. But yeah, we should make use of that because it's a huge.
Yeah, I'll see if we can come up with something meaty. Talking to Gilbert.
Yeah, cool. And we'll talk about some blog posts that we could start writing and what people to engage, which people to engage, and maybe move to Medium for our blogs instead of our site.
So people might encounter them through other channels.
Yeah. It's more bloggy platform.
Yeah, more bloggy.
That might drive some traffic too. People like reading blog posts.
Will you have time to look into that? Or like,
which part?
Is that going to happen? I guess is my question.
Medium.
Yeah.
I'll look
into have time?
I will look into it. Yeah, before our next meeting, I'll definitely look into it. I can't guarantee that it's going to happen before the next meeting, but I can at least see what it would take to do it. And
okay.
Yeah, that's easy.
Cool. Great. Sweet. I think we're over time anyway.
Okay. We are. Wow.
Cool. All right.
Great. Okay.
Thank
you guys.
Later,
See you next time. in the meeting.